Welcome to a new video. Today we'll be taking a look at a device which I believe is gaining more popularity, especially as summertime approaches and people are spending more time outdoors. It's no secret that we are dependent on our gadgets now more than ever, and we need to keep them charged. Regular 10 to 20 amp hour power banks can save the day for your phone or tablet, but if we're talking about multiple gadgets like multiple phones, tablets, laptops, portable speakers, lights, all at once, then you need something more serious with higher capacity, multiple charging ports, maybe even some AC outlet ports. That's why today we'll be taking a look at this guy. It is the Blitzwolf PG1, a true power station holding 124 amp hours of battery capacity for this version, which is the upgraded one, and providing you with multiple USB ports for DC output. It has two AC outputs on the back, a built-in Bluetooth speaker, an LED lamp, with everything encased together in this rugged case, which comes with a very nice carry handle on top. So it might be a true companion for a camping trip or a summer beach day, or even for those unexpected long power outages at your home. Before I continue with the review, let me mention that this unit was provided for free by Banggood.com for the purpose of this review, and should you decide to order one after watching this review, there will be a link provided in the description below, as well as a coupon code so you can get a discount when ordering one, so check them out. If you're in the EU, this product should be stocked in both their Poland and Czech Republic warehouse, so that means very fast delivery via local courier. So everything sounds good on paper for this power station, and Blitzwolf products are generally pretty high quality. I've owned several power adapters, USB charging cables, and various other smartphone accessories from Blitzwolf in the past, and they've been great. I don't think they manufacture them themselves. They probably just reach out to an OEM and have them manufacture these gadgets based on their specs. But I would say they are similar in quality with Baseus products, if you're familiar with that brand, which I also show a lot on this channel. But in this video, we'll check for ourselves, we'll do a teardown, because having all of that energy inside this power station can be dangerous if it's not built with a certain degree of quality and attention to details. This unit was super nicely packed in a thick double box, so it arrived in perfect condition, and its own internal packaging and protection is very professional, so I don't think anything can happen to this product during shipping, but it's also not wise to underestimate what shipping companies are capable of. This video is sponsored by PCBWay.com, a professional PCB manufacturer with excellent quality and fast turnaround times. You can get more than PCBs manufactured with PCBWay. They also do PCB assembly, injection molding, 3D printing, machining various parts, so you can have an entire prototype built using their services. Check out their website, linked below. Taking a closer look at this unit, I noticed it has a core body made from aluminium with plastic front and back panels, and there are also some nice rubber feet on the bottom. The carry handle looks very strong on this unit, well capable of taking the weight of the unit, which is around 7 kilograms. On the front of the unit we have the integrated 5 watts LED lamp at the top, and we'll test that in a second. Then we have the power switch, the battery level indicator with 4 steps, one USB Type-C port with power delivery, which can output up to 20 volts and up to 60 watts. This would be good for charging even a low to medium power laptop via Type-C port. We also have a quick charge 3.0 USB port. This is capable of 5 volts 3 amps or 9 volts at 2 amps. Then we have a couple of standard 5 volts 2.5 amp each for these charging ports. This is the DC input rated for 19 volts 5 amps via barrel jack. I believe this is a standard 2.5 by 5 millimeter barrel jack connector, and it will typically be used for a solar panel input. You can purchase a solar panel separately, and actually this input is rated for a wider range. It's 14 to 25 volts, so it works very well with the solar panel for charging the power pack. You can also charge this power pack via the wall charger, which is provided in the box. And next to this we have the LED lamp button, which is used to turn on the lamp. Below this we have the integrated Bluetooth speaker, which is rated for 10 watts. This has its own buttons for control. You do have to have the power station turned on before you can turn on the Bluetooth speaker, but the Bluetooth speaker turns on by holding on the play pause button. It's really important to know that nothing works on this power station until you turn it on. On the back of the unit we have this 12 volt cigarette lighter socket, which is protected with a rubber cap. This can output 12 volts up to 10 amps maximum, but I believe that is shared with these 3 DC barrel jacks. These are also outputs, each capable of up to 5 amps but limited up to 10 amps total for the 3 of them. Next to that we have a cooling fan exhaust, and below we get our 2 AC sockets. In my case, these are European Schuko style sockets with their own power switch on the back. This is powered from a pure sine wave inverter, and we'll take a look at the waveform soon. The rating for these is 500 watts total with 800 watts peak power shared between these two. So there's plenty of options, plenty of available power, and when you couple this with a solar panel, you can also recharge on the go. Included with the unit you also get this wall charger rated for 19 volts 5 amps, and it feels like a really good quality charger. It has some good weight to it. Plastic also feels very good quality, and it has all of the regulatory approvals on the back, so I pretty much trust to use this without any concerns. I am very curious as to which battery technology they're using inside, but we'll take a look at that later when we do the teardown. For now, let's turn on the unit and see how it works. So I already have the unit on because we have the small green LED to indicate that. A short press of the power button gives us the current charge state. So we have 2 lines that would be equal to about 50% battery charge. If we do a long press on the light switch, this will turn on the light. Then with short presses we can cycle through the different modes. Long press on the play pause button will enable the Bluetooth speaker. We can search for it and it shows up as PS-speaker, and I've tested this with some music. It sounds like your average 10-watt Bluetooth speaker, nothing special. It lacks any low frequencies, but you know, decent enough to be used. It's not bad. Flipping the switch for the AC output on the back briefly turns on the cooling fan, but it immediately stops. This indicates it is temperature controlled, which is nice, so we'll hear that fan in action later when we load test the AC output and things start to get hot internally. Included with the unit you do get this wall charger rated for 19 volts and 5 amps. So that's 95 watts, and this feels like it's a good quality charger. It has some good weight to it. Plastic also feels good quality. It has all of the approval markings on the back. So I would trust to use this, but a fair warning, you must be careful in order not to cover this charger with anything while the unit is under charging, because I did test it with my thermal camera while it was pushing full power to the battery pack to charge it, and in an ambient of 27 degrees Celsius this thing had some hot spots which were above 78 degrees Celsius. So it does get very hot, so because of that I would probably make sure I don't leave this charging unattended just because this can get hot. But first, let's test the DC output on the back via the 12 volt cigarette lighter socket or DC jack, because this one is capable of up to 10 amps of output. So the first thing I tried was to sync 10 amps from the cigarette lighter socket via this custom cable that I've built, but this damn thing started smoking from this area. You can see a little bit of plastic deformation here. It started smoking seconds within the test, so I've had to abort that. So these cheap Chinese cigar lighter plugs are just too crappy to handle that much current. So next I'll be trying the DC jacks that we have here, and these are likely powered directly from the battery through a fuse, so that's why these outputs are also specified as a wider range. It depends on the state of charge of the battery because they're connected directly to the battery, I believe. So each one of these 3 DC jacks is rated for up to 5 amps, but limited to a total of 10 amps for all 3 of them. So I'm going to be using 2 of these outputs with 2 of my electronic loads, syncing 5 amps through each. So the power station should be handling this just fine. So as we noticed, it cuts out at exactly 10 amps being sourced from this side of the power station, and that triggers an internal protection, and to reset that you need to power off and power on again the entire power station. I've also checked the noise output on this DC output of the power station, and it looks fairly clean, which is to be expected if this is powered directly from the battery. Here is a screen capture of the oscilloscope. Next, I've looked at the USB outputs. There are 2 that can output 2.4 amps each, and a third one which is quick charge capable, and I've tested all 3 together, handling that just fine, with the quick charge output running at 12 volts 1.5 amps, that's 18 watts, and the other 2 running at 5 volts 2.4 amps each. So the spec doesn't even mention 12 volt capability for the quick charge port, and yet it does support that. They mention just up to 9 volts for the quick charge output on the back of the unit and in the user manual as well. I've also tested for output noise, which is in the 150 millivolts peak to peak region for the ports running at full output. That's not a great value, but I'm not using the best measurement setup here because I'm measuring off these wires, so I'm likely picking up some common mode noise as well, and it's not uncommon to have 100 or up to 200 millivolts peak to peak noise output in wall plug USB chargers, so I would consider that to be okay. Next up, I've tested the AC socket output. I have this power meter installed, and remember, this is rated for up to 500 watts and it should be a pure sine wave output. Now, I don't have anything that's close to 500 watt load. I either have smaller or bigger loads, but I can tell you that it perfectly handles my JBC soldering station, which peaks at up to 200 watts. So that runs perfectly fine, which is nice because now I can take my hot soldering station with me when I go camping, and I can cook some, I don't know, leaded marshmallows maybe. I've also checked the waveform output using my Mixig isolated differential probe, and I've connected that to my oscilloscope. As we can see, the waveform looks beautifully. This is a pure sine wave output inverter which runs at 50 Hz. Now, I'm very curious about the battery technology they use inside this power station, and the general build quality and the attention to detail regarding the internal wiring. So let's proceed with our teardown. I'm gonna be removing 4 screws from the back panel, 4 from the front panel, and remove those. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far during the teardown. They use these nice solid hex screws for the front and back panel. And let me show you another interesting thing. Like, look at the modularity they have here. So they have XT60 connectors, and these can be unplugged as well. So it looks like really nice and modular. But let me pause for a second to disconnect these so that we can take a better look. So now that I have it completely taken apart, we can take a closer look at all of the different modules. So this is the front board, and this holds the USB charging DC to DC converters, judging by these MOSFETs and big inductors. This board also provides power to the Bluetooth speaker module, which is like a repurposed module from a Bluetooth speaker. You can see it still has this micro USB port for power, and this main board also provides power to the LED, to the integrated LED lamp, and it just takes the battery input through this XT60 connector. Now, the chips worth mentioning here is this little guy here is the Cypress D3175, and this handles the USB Type-C power delivery negotiation. This is quite a smart and versatile chip that can even be programmed for additional functionality, and this likely has direct control over one of the DC to DC converters we have here for generating the various voltages it needs. And we also have the main MCU running the show. This is an APM32F103, a clone of the popular STM32F103, and this is likely overkill for this application, but you know, it's cheap enough and plenty of available resources that it makes sense to use it. We also have some current shunts in here, so there's some current sensing happening to protect these USB ports on the front. And this board has some incoming connections through these connectors from the battery pack, so it also monitors that as well as handling power and status of the pure sine wave inverter. This is our backboard, and this holds the DC output ports, the cigarette lighter port, and they are taking power directly from the battery pack through this XT60 connector. We also have various MOSFET switches on this board, as well as current shunts for monitoring current, and that's needed to ensure protection for overcurrent situations for those ports. As you can see, the wiring in general is pretty nice and tidy, no exposed wires, everything is heat shrunk and isolated. Soldering looks pretty good as well, and once again, that modularity with JST connectors for small signals and XT60 for power connections, I like that. This is our pure sine wave inverter board, and as you've probably guessed, it contains one of these off-the-shelf plug-in cards which have a specialized chip for handling the sine wave, and they've only implemented like the external power MOSFETs and filtering. There's lots of heavy heat sinks on this board. It's actually very heavy, so this will be the one that is getting hot inside the unit, and this will be the one that needs the active cooling the most. This is our battery pack, and it looks like we have a total of 48 cells in this pack. I see 8 cells in this direction and 6 cells in this direction, 48 total, and the total pack configuration is 3S because it outputs roughly 12 volts. So that leaves us with 16 parallel cells for a final config of 3S16P. They have a thermistor in here on the battery pack for sensing the temperature. They have multiple current shunt resistors for measuring the current. There's multiple taps for measuring the cell voltages, and a battery management chip to run all of the show here safely. This is the BM3451, and this chip will offer protection for overcharge, over discharge, over temperature, short circuit, as well as balance the cells. And additionally, the way this battery pack is built, it seems very nice. It's all built inside this protective shell. It feels very strong. Soldering seems very good. Unfortunately, I can't take it apart any further because of the glue they used here. But we can take a peek at the part number for the 18650 cells inside. Part number is CR18650F8, and they are rated for 2.6 amp hours each. I couldn't find the datasheet for these, so I don't know anything else about these, but judging from the markings and the stickers they have on this battery pack, it looks like they have an individual lot number and they are individually tested for capacity. So I've put the unit back together, but if you're interested in seeing some high resolution pictures of the various boards that it had internally, there will be a link in the description below to a blog post with those. Overall, I would say that I am pleasantly surprised by the build quality and wiring inside this unit. I mean, I was expecting good quality, having used Blitzwolf products in the past, but what I found is beyond my expectations. This clearly deserves a thumbs up, so by the way, hit that thumbs up button. Marco Reps looked at a similar power station recently from a reasonably well-known brand, and the wiring wasn't as nice on that unit. This one performs according to its specs. It has nice protection features, so again, good points in favor of the Blitzwolf unit. They do also mention having approvals like FCC, but I couldn't find any FCC ID number that I could check, so maybe they are in the process of getting that. The battery technology inside is lithium-ion. It's not as nice or as safe as Li-Fi technology, but it is what it is for the cost. If you're looking to get a power station with Li-Fi cells, you're probably going to have to spend a bit more for that. There are also some downsides worth mentioning about this unit. First, it does not have an IP rating, so it should be kept away from water to prevent any damage. This kind of limits the outdoor activity because you would have to watch out and keep it dry at all time. Dust or sand could also easily get inside the unit if you take it to the beach, and that might affect the fan at least. Another important safety aspect is not to let it overheat, so you should not run this in direct sunlight. You shouldn't let it sit operating inside the vehicle where the temperature might exceed 50 degrees. This might harm the battery cells inside and might lead to unpredictable behavior. The wall charger can also get pretty hot during operation, as I've shown earlier, so you would probably not leave that unattended. But in general, these are things that are, good practices. These are valid points for any other power station. And some piece of advice for prolonging the life of the battery cells: don't just store and forget it in some closet. Charge it to roughly 50% level and check every 3 months or so and recharge if needed. This will ensure you'll get good life out of the battery pack. And overall, the market is quite diversified. There are smaller models, bigger ones, different output configuration, different ports, so you'll probably have to find one that suits your needs best. But this one, at least for me, seems like a very nice all-rounder which sells for a very competitive price, comes with a very good battery pack, and is stocked in the EU warehouse, so it's worth considering it on your shortlist because of its good specs and good build quality. Personally, I'll probably consider adding a solar panel option for charging, as that can come in handy to harvest some free solar energy. That was all for today. I hope you enjoyed this review and teardown. As always, I am interested in hearing your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to use that discount coupon code if you're ordering one of these to get a better price. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed these videos, you can help support the channel with as little as $1 per month via Patreon, or you can just hit that like button, which is free but still helps a lot.